Hello, everyone. I guess I'll start off by apologizing for not being here yesterday. I um, was traveling. I didn't have it in my schedule, so that's my fault. I don't want to apologize to everybody for delaying everybody's time and all that. I'll make my presentation quick here. Just kind of touch on some of the things that team drilling does as a business and what we're looking for. I hope everybody can see my screen well.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Okay, so yeah, so what we do is core drilling. A lot of our positions are labor positions. As you can see, this fine young gentleman here inside the drill, he's essentially emptying core out of that pipe that's running down there. Our group of our guys, again, getting training. A lot of these individuals here are from the north. This area here is another one of the challenging areas we kind of work in. This is the kind of terrains we see and where we work. This is actually where I was driving from, was this location here in BC. We'll be doing some drilling there again this summer. I was doing a site visit. Another example in this area of where we would work. Again, some terrific sceneries and stuff like that, places you would never probably typically see. Another shot of that same area. Some spectacular areas, I guess, earlier on too on this project here. We had some bighorn sheep running along this slope too, prior to us being there. Working above the clouds. I mean, these are some of the more glamorous sites and stuff like that we'd work in. This might be not so glamorous. You're minus 40 working in the on a lake and stuff like that. We do our drilling kind of in all sorts of areas and terrains. Here's another example of guys opening up a road on a lake. And prior to us getting out on there to do this work, though, we have to make sure the ice is safe. So there's lots of safety involved in order for us to be able to even do any bit of work to start with. Again, here's another example of that road when it's finished up. The ice on that road will probably be at least 3 feet thick. So it's more than what we require for our equipment to work on and stuff like that. Here's some gentlemen out there helping prepare the roads and the drill pads that we'd work on. We essentially will flood the ice like you would a skating rink or whatnot. And that water builds up and then it freezes, and it helps add ice on top of the ice as opposed to just it freezing from the bottom up as well. Again, here's them doing the same thing over a larger section. This is another piece of equipment we would use to do the same thing. It's essentially just a great big auger. It will drill a 18-inch hole, and then we use that flighting of that auger to actually draw the water up out of the lake onto the ice. Here's a couple of drills actually on the ice. Drilling up, this is actually near Points North. Again, a similar area there at Points North. Drilling on the ice. As you can see, it is skating rink smooth after the guys flooded. This here is just a creek that we would have bridged across. We'd have to put a clear span bridges across these creeks so that we don't actually disturb the creek beds. Here's an example of an alternative to the ice drilling. This is a drill on a barge in the lake. There's another example of that drill there. This here is at Cigar Lake, actually, I believe, just in behind the mine there. Here's one of our remote bush camps. What it would be like in the wintertime when we're drilling in a remote area for a short term, so we don't have to clear a lot of area. We just bring in a small camp, do a quick exploration program. Another example in the summertime, a little bit more hospitable this time of year. And then underground as well. We will be drilling underground in most of the northern mines. This drilling here, just an example of some environmentally sensitive areas we kind of work in. This area, this peninsula on this particular one is all swamp. So we had to use swamp mats essentially to distribute the weight so we don't make a huge rutting mess of the area. Just another example of that road where we skidded everything in on those mats. This is a picture you would see from 2 years ago or 3 years ago. We were working at Cigar Lake Mine. We had 3 to 4 drills working there steadily. On that project there in particular, we drilled a total of 1,370 holes. And they're all side by side, 6 meters apart, which isn't that far apart when you think about it. And that was used essentially to freeze the ground so they can actually mine the uranium safely. Another example of that project, those snow-covered pipe running down there are actually freeze pipe. There's frozen brine running down them. Brine that's below -20. And they inject that down the wells we drill in order to freeze the formation that they're going to mine. This is a picture of where was this? This would have been by Patterson Lake. Just a nice nighttime picture or evening picture of what it looks like out there. And again, another nighttime picture of the drill setup and stuff like that. So it is kind of small and cozy out there. Usually 2-man crews and stuff like that. The typical positions we're looking for is usually laborers, well, and essentially drillers. In order to become a driller, though, you have to start as a laborer. I myself started as a laborer, became a driller, and slowly worked my way up. Yeah, that's kind of all I have for photos. I just kind of, like I said, just went through them fairly fast. Yeah. Didn't go into a lot of detail. I mean, if there's any questions about anything specific that anybody might have, we can definitely go into it more.
A question and a comment from Kara over here.
Sure.
Beautiful, beautiful pictures. Like, oh, some of that scenery
Mhm.
is absolutely gorgeous. You get to work in some really beautiful country, don't you, Glenn?
Sometimes
I
yes, and sometimes some not so beautiful, but yeah, and sometimes I'm pretty harsh. But yeah, no, it is good
I
most times.
can I can see that that Team Drilling is putting a lot of work into uh environmental feasibility and not making an impact. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, certainly. Actually, that project you were looking at here in the mountains here, this is for Teck. They're a large mining company. This project itself was extremely environmentally sensitive. We could basically leave 0 footprint at all that we were there. I mean, there will be a little bit, but not, we could not have any water or anything that's streaming down there. Any fresh water that we were drilling with that we pumped up the mountain, we'd have to actually pump it right back down. It would not be able to be used, and that was the clean water. Any drilling waters we used had to be brought down. We recycled all our drill water as we were using it as well. Again, there was no fuel transfer on the mountains. We had all the fuel transfer was done at the mine site itself, so we weren't fueling up anywhere at the rigs. It was just a complete fuel cell would come in, and we just changed the whole cell out. Yeah, it was extremely a sensitive area, I guess, in that regard. We ran centrifuges and stuff like that steadily. The same thing we do in northern Saskatchewan when we drill on lakes and stuff like that as well. On lakes, we are extremely conscious of that. All our equipment has secondary containment, so that if there is a leak or a spill, it is caught by a drip pan or the secondary containment, so that there's no damage to the environment.
Awesome. Thank you so much. If you were lucky enough to get a laborer's position with Team Drilling, what would be your average? Are you a week in and a week out? How do you get to work? What is that average turnaround for your employees?
That's typically case by case. Mostly on our service expo, a lot of our guys prefer a 4-4-2 rotation. I know it seems like a long time, but guys typically prefer that. They like to work for 4 weeks and take 2 weeks off. And because our work is seasonal, where most of our work is done in the winter time, and then this time of year is a slow period for us. The field guys aren't as much, but come June again, we will be ramped back up, and we need a ton of field guys again. And then come the fall, it gets slower. So guys typically will want to work more when the work is available. And then when they have the time off, then they have the opportunity to be able to afford it and, you know, relax and stuff and not have to worry about bills and stuff like that most times. Underground is a little bit different. That is typically a 2 week in, 2 week out schedule. All our work, usually we get guys to come to Saskatoon, but all the transportation expenses are typically paid. We pay a guy's kilometer rate, and then once they reach Saskatoon and stuff like that, we usually get them to where they need to go, either by plane or drive or whatever the case may be. It all depends on the location.
Awesome. Thank you. That's really good information. Do we have any questions for team drilling from the schools? Father McGret, do you have any questions? Father Port, any questions? Okay, well, if not, I want to thank Glenn. Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate you coming in and joining with us again. Hopefully next year we can be in person and taking
Yep.
Clarence Nault Memorial, not virtual career fair. How about that? We can shorten up the name a little bit if we can do that, which would be good. It's kind of a mouthful right now. But yeah, thank you so much, Glenn. Really appreciate you. So